Please don't hurt me, I can't get up," Maria begged. The billionaire, Marcus Sterling, looked down at the maid sitting on the wet pavement, while his 2 young daughters watched from behind him. He was about to offer some cash and walk away, seeing just another person in need on the streets of New York. What Marcus didn't know was that this woman held a powerful secret from his past, a connection that would unravel a terrible injustice. But before we see how Marcus makes things right, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now subscribe to the channel and let's get into the full story. "Dad, look! That lady needs help." Daisy pulled at her father's expensive coat sleeve, pointing across the wet sidewalk. Marcus Sterling glanced up from his phone, annoyed by the interruption. Rain poured down on Fifth Avenue and he was already running 10 minutes late for his meeting. "Not now, Daisy. We need to get to the car," he said, tightening his grip on his black umbrella. "But Dad," Lily joined in, her voice more measured than her twin sister's. "She can't stand up. Look." Marcus followed his daughter's gaze to see a woman huddled against the side of a building. She wore a soaked maid's uniform that clung to her thin frame. Her dark hair was plastered to her face and she was struggling to get to her feet, one hand braced against the wall. "Please don't hurt me," the woman said when she noticed them staring. Her voice trembled with fear and pain. "I can't get up." Marcus sighed heavily. This was exactly why he usually sent the girls to school with their driver. At 10 years old, they were too soft-hearted, too easily distracted by every unfortunate soul on the streets of Manhattan. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his leather wallet. A few $100s would solve this problem quickly, and they could be on their way. "Here," he said, starting to pull out several bills. "Dad!" Daisy looked horrified. "She's hurt. We can't just leave her here." "She needs help, not money," Lily added, her serious eyes fixed on her father. Marcus looked at his watch. 7:32 in the morning. The board meeting started at 8 o'clock. His mother would already be there, ready to point out his tardiness to everyone. The woman tried again to stand, wincing as she put weight on her right leg. Marcus noticed she had an obvious limp. Despite her disheveled appearance, there was something dignified about the way she held herself. "Fine," he muttered, stepping closer to her. "Ma'am, can I help you up?" "Thank you," she said softly, avoiding eye contact. Marcus handed his umbrella to Lily and reached out to support the woman's elbow. As he helped her to her feet, he noticed she was probably around 40 years old, with warm brown skin and eyes that seemed too intelligent for someone in her situation. "What's your name?" Daisy asked immediately. "Maria," the woman replied after a slight hesitation. "Maria Johnson." "I'm Daisy Sterling, and that's my twin sister Lily, and that's our dad, Marcus." Maria's eyes widened slightly at the name Sterling, but she quickly composed her face. "Our car is right there," Lily said, pointing to a sleek black SUV waiting at the curb. "You should come get dry." "That's very kind, but I couldn't possibly," Maria began. "Nonsense," Daisy interrupted. "Dad, tell her she can come get warm in our car." Marcus checked his watch again. 7:35. He could still make the meeting if they hurried. "It's fine," he said curtly. "The car is right there." He helped Maria limp to the vehicle, where his driver, Thomas, quickly opened the door. Thomas raised his eyebrows but said nothing as Marcus helped the bedraggled woman into the back seat beside the twins. "Sterling Tower," Marcus instructed as he climbed into the front passenger seat. "Actually, Dad," Lily said in her careful, thoughtful way, "shouldn't we take Maria home first? She's soaking wet." Marcus turned to look at his daughters. Both girls were staring at him with identical expressions of determined compassion, the same look their mother used to give him when he was being, as she would say, too businessman and not enough human. "Fine," he sighed. "Central Park West, Thomas." He pulled out his phone to text his assistant that he would be late for the meeting. His mother would be furious. In the back seat, the twins were already bombarding Maria with questions. "What happened to your leg?" Daisy asked. "Daisy, that's rude," Lily scolded her sister. "I had an accident a few years ago," Maria said quietly. It damaged the nerves in my leg. Does it hurt all the time? Daisy continued. Sometimes more than others, Maria replied. The cold and rain make it worse. Marcus glanced in the rearview mirror and saw Maria looking around the luxury vehicle with a mixture of discomfort and something else. Recognition? It was almost as if she'd been in expensive cars before. Where do you live, Maria? Lily asked. There was a pause before Maria answered. I'm between homes right now. Marcus understood what that meant. Homeless. He felt a flash of irritation at himself. He gave millions to charity every year. Why did he need to personally taxi homeless people around Manhattan? We live in a penthouse, Daisy announced proudly. We have a view of the whole park. That sounds lovely, Maria said politely. 20 minutes later, they arrived at the exclusive Central Park West building where the Sterlings lived. The doorman rushed out with an umbrella, surprised to see Marcus returning so soon. Good morning, Mr. Sterling, he said, opening the car door. Morning, Pete, Marcus replied. Girls, go on up. I'll be there in a minute. But Dad, what about Maria? Daisy protested. Marcus hesitated, then looked at the woman still sitting in his car. Her clothes were thoroughly soaked, and she was shivering slightly despite the car's heating. The twins were looking at him expectantly. Would you like to come up and dry off? He asked, trying to keep the reluctance out of his voice. Relief washed over Maria's face. That would be very kind. Thank you. The four of them rode the private elevator to the top floor in awkward silence. When the doors opened, the twins raced into the penthouse. Gloria! Daisy called. We brought someone who needs help. Gloria Rodriguez, the Sterlings' longtime housekeeper, appeared from the kitchen. Her eyebrows shot up when she saw Maria standing uncertainly beside Marcus. This is Maria, Lily explained. She was stuck in the rain and her leg hurts. She needs dry clothes. Gloria's surprised expression softened into understanding. Come with me, Senora. We'll find you something dry to wear. As Gloria led Maria away, Marcus headed to his home office. I'll be working in here. I have calls to make. He closed the door and slumped into his chair. The board meeting had started 15 minutes ago. His phone showed 3 missed calls from his mother. He dialed his assistant instead. Jenny, I need you to reschedule today's meetings. Family emergency. After ending the call, Marcus ran his hands through his hair. Sarah would have known exactly what to do in this situation. His late wife had always been the one to handle the human elements of their life while he focused on building Sterling Technologies. 20 minutes later, a soft knock interrupted his thoughts. He opened the door to find Gloria. The girls are showing Miss Johnson around the apartment, she said. I gave her some of my daughter's clothes to wear. Her uniform is in the dryer. Thank you, Gloria, Marcus said. I'll be out shortly. When he finally emerged from his office, he found the twins in the living room excitedly showing Maria their collection of science books. Mom was a scientist, Daisy was explaining. She studied biology and chemistry and stuff. That's fascinating, Maria replied, now dressed in simple jeans and a sweater that must belong to Gloria's daughter. Her hair was dry, revealing tight curls framing her face. Marcus watched as Maria turned and noticed something on the mantelpiece. It was a large photograph of Sarah. Beautiful, brilliant Sarah with her warm smile and kind eyes, taken about a year before she got sick. Maria stopped mid-sentence, her face going pale. She reached out to steady herself against the sofa. Are you okay? Lily asked, concerned. Yes, I just felt a little dizzy for a moment, Maria said, but her eyes remained fixed on Sarah's photograph. Marcus stepped forward, concerned despite himself. You should sit down. Maria sank onto the sofa, still staring at the photograph. Your wife? She asked quietly. Yes, she passed away 3 years ago. Cancer. Maria closed her eyes briefly. I'm very sorry for your loss. There was something in her voice, a depth of emotion that seemed too personal for a stranger's condolences. Did you know her? Marcus found himself asking. Maria hesitated, then shook her head. No, She just looks like someone I used to know." Before Marcus could question her further, Daisy bounced onto the sofa beside Maria. "Can you stay for lunch? Gloria makes the best sandwiches." "Oh, I couldn't impose," Maria began. "Please stay," Lily added more quietly. "Dad has to work anyway." Marcus found himself nodding. "It's fine. Stay for lunch if you'd like." As he turned to go back to his office, he caught Maria looking once more at Sarah's photograph, a complex mixture of emotions crossing her face. What Marcus didn't know, couldn't know, was that Maria Johnson wasn't just any woman they'd found on the street. 5 years earlier, she had been Dr. Maria Johnson, one of the most brilliant engineers at Sterling Technologies, and Sarah Sterling's graduate advisor and closest friend. The explosion that had damaged Maria's leg had happened in Marcus's own company, though he'd been too occupied with expansion plans to pay attention to the minor incident his management team had reported. And as Maria sat in the luxurious living room of the man whose company had destroyed her career, she wondered what twist of fate had brought her here, surrounded by reminders of the friend who had never known what happened to her. Maria sat in the Sterling's luxurious living room, her heart still racing from seeing Sarah's photograph. The twins continued showing her their books, unaware of her inner turmoil. "Would you like some tea?" Gloria asked, appearing with a tray. "Yes, thank you," Maria replied, grateful for the distraction. As she sipped the hot liquid, Maria debated whether she should ever return to this place that held so many painful memories. Yet when the time came for her to leave, Daisy grabbed her hand. "Will you come back tomorrow?" "Please?" the little girl asked, her eyes wide with hope. "I don't think," Maria began. "We have science homework," Lily added quietly. "It's about chemical reactions." Maria felt a familiar pull, the teacher in her responding to a student's need for help. Before she could answer, Marcus emerged from his office. "Your clothes are dry," he said, handing Maria her folded uniform. "Thomas can drive you wherever you need to go." "Thank you," Maria said, accepting the clothing. "Your daughters are wonderful girls." "Will you come back tomorrow?" Daisy repeated, louder this time, looking between Maria and her father. Marcus frowned. "Daisy, Ms. Johnson probably has her own obligations." But Dad, it's okay," Maria interrupted gently. "I could come by tomorrow after lunch if that would be helpful." The twins beamed, while Marcus looked surprised but didn't object. "Thank you for your kindness today," Maria said formally as she left. During the car ride to her small Brooklyn apartment, Maria closed her eyes, memories flooding back. 5 years earlier, she had been Dr. Maria Johnson, respected engineer and researcher. Now she cleaned houses when her leg allowed it. The irony of finding herself in Marcus Sterling's home was almost too much to bear. The next morning dawned clear and cold. Maria stood outside the Sterling building at precisely 1 o'clock in the afternoon, debating whether to enter. Part of her wanted to walk away and never return. Another part, the part that remembered Sarah's friendship and love for her daughters, pushed her forward. "Good afternoon, Ms. Johnson," the doorman greeted her. "The family is expecting you." Upstairs, she found chaos. Marcus was rushing around the penthouse, phone pressed to his ear. The twins sat at the dining table with open textbooks, looking glum. "I understand it's short notice," Marcus was saying into the phone, "but Brenda always calls when she can't make it. Yes, I know it's difficult to find someone on such short notice." He noticed Maria standing in the entryway and relief washed over his face. He ended the call quickly. "You're here," he said. "Perfect timing. The nanny called in sick, and I have an important meeting I can't reschedule." "Hi, Maria," Daisy called, waving enthusiastically. "Hello," Lily said more quietly but with an equally pleased expression. Marcus ran his hand through his hair, looking stressed. "I hate to ask this, but could you possibly stay with them until I get back? It should only be a couple of hours. I'll pay you, of course." "I don't mind," Maria said. The thought of earning some money was appealing. Her savings were almost gone. "Thank you," Marcus said, already grabbing his coat. "Girls, behave yourselves. Do your homework." "We will," they chorused. "Their emergency contacts are on the refrigerator. Gloria will be back around 4. Help yourself to anything in the kitchen." With that, he was gone, leaving Maria alone with the twins. "We're studying chemical reactions," Lily said immediately. "Can you help us?" "Our teacher said we need to understand why baking soda and vinegar react." Maria smiled, despite herself. "That's actually very simple. Let me show you." For the next hour, Maria guided the girls through their homework. Without thinking, she explained the concept of acids and bases, drawing diagrams and using kitchen ingredients to demonstrate. The girls watched in fascination. "How do you know all this stuff?" Lily asked suddenly, her sharp eyes studying Maria. Maria froze momentarily. "I had good science teachers when I was your age." "But you explained it better than our teacher," Lily persisted. "She's been teaching for 20 years. "Some people just understand science," Maria said carefully. "Now let's finish this worksheet." Meanwhile, at Sterling Technologies headquarters in Midtown Manhattan, Marcus sat in his office across from Richard Blackwood, the company's chief operating officer. Richard was a tall man with perfectly styled silver hair and an expensive suit. "The quarterly reports don't look good, Marcus," Richard said, sliding a folder across the desk. "R&D spending is up 17%, but we have no major breakthroughs to show for it." Marcus frowned as he reviewed the numbers. "What about the Cancer Research Division? Sarah always said that was our most promising department." Richard's expression tightened slightly. "We've redirected some of those resources to more immediately profitable projects." "Without consulting me?" Marcus asked, his voice hardening. "You've been understandably distracted since Sarah's passing," Richard replied smoothly. "I made executive decisions in the company's best interest." Marcus stared at his COO, suddenly realizing how much control he'd ceded to the man over the past 3 years. "How are the girls?" Richard asked, changing the subject. "Your mother mentioned you missed the board meeting yesterday." "They're fine," Marcus said. "Actually, it's strange. They've taken a liking to this woman we met yesterday, Maria. She's helping them with homework right now since Brenda called in sick." Richard's face showed polite interest, nothing more. "That's convenient. Good help is hard to find these days." The meeting continued for another hour, with Richard presenting strategies to cut costs and boost profits. Throughout the discussion, Marcus found his thoughts drifting back to his home, wondering how the twins were doing with Maria. Back at the penthouse, Maria had moved from science to math homework. As the girls worked on problems, she wandered around the living room, looking at photographs she hadn't noticed the day before. There were several more of Sarah, at graduation, on vacation, holding newborn twins. In each one, her smile was radiant. "That's our mom," Daisy said, coming to stand beside Maria. "She died when we were 7. "She was very beautiful," Maria said softly. "She was smart too," Lily added, joining them. "Dad says she was the smartest person he ever met." Maria swallowed hard. "I'm sure she was." "Why do you walk funny?" Daisy asked suddenly. "Daisy!" Lily scolded. "Mom said we shouldn't ask people things like that." "It's okay," Maria said. "I had an accident at work a few years ago. It damaged the nerves in my leg." "Does it hurt?" Daisy asked. "Sometimes," Maria admitted, "especially when I climb stairs or when it's cold." "What kind of accident?" Lily asked. Maria hesitated. "A laboratory accident. I used to work in a lab." Both girls' eyes widened with interest. "Like a science lab?" Daisy asked excitedly. "Yes," Maria said. "Now let's get back to your homework." By 4 o'clock, they had finished all their assignments. Maria suggested they do something fun with their remaining time. "Can we do another science experiment?" Lily asked. "Please?" Daisy added. Maria looked around the kitchen. "Let's see what we can find." By the time Marcus returned home at 5:30, the kitchen had been transformed into a makeshift laboratory. The twins were carefully mixing food coloring into different liquids, recording their observations in notebooks. "What's going on here?" Marcus asked, surprised. "Dad, look what Maria taught us!" Daisy exclaimed. "We're learning about density!" "The different liquids have different weights, so they don't mix," Lily explained seriously. "See how they stay in layers?" Marcus looked from his excited daughters to Maria, who stood nervously by the counter. "I hope this is okay," she said. "They finished their homework early." "It's fine," Marcus said, watching his daughters with wonder. "I haven't seen them this excited about learning since Sarah used to do experiments with them." Maria looked away quickly. "Thank you," Marcus said. "You're good with them." An idea seemed to form in his mind. "Our regular nanny has been less than reliable lately. The girls obviously respond well to you. Would you be interested in a job as their after-school tutor?" Maria's surprise was genuine. "Mr. Sterling, the pay would be good," he continued. "You'd need to be here weekdays from 2 until 6. Help with homework, educational activities. What do you think?" Maria looked at the twins' hopeful faces, then back at Marcus. This was dangerous territory, getting closer to the man whose company had destroyed her career. Yet she needed the money desperately. And the girls, they reminded her so much of Sarah. "Yes," she said finally, "I'd like that very much." What Maria didn't know was that across town, Richard Blackwood sat in his corner office, a nagging thought disturbing his usually calm demeanor. The name Maria had triggered something in his memory. He pulled up his computer and began scrolling through old employee records, unable to shake the feeling that he was missing something important. Richard Blackwood tapped his fingers on his desk as he scrolled through employee records. Something about the name Maria had triggered a memory, but after an hour of searching, he closed his laptop with a sigh. There were too many past employees to check without more information. 3 weeks passed quickly. Maria settled into her new job as tutor to the Sterling twins. Each day at 3 o'clock, she arrived at the luxury building on Central Park West, greeted by the doorman who now knew her by name. "Good afternoon, Ms. Johnson," Pete said as she approached the entrance on a crisp October day. "The girls are already asking if you're here yet." Maria smiled. "They're always eager to learn." "They're different since you started coming," Pete said. "Happier." Upstairs, the twins rushed to the elevator as soon as it opened. "Maria, we got our science test back." Daisy bounced with excitement, waving a paper with a red A at the top. "I got an A too," Lily said more calmly, but her smile showed equal pride. "That's wonderful," Maria said, following them into the apartment. "You both worked very hard." Gloria emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "The girls have not stopped talking about their tests all day." When the twins ran to get their backpacks, Gloria lowered her voice. "You've been good for them, Maria. They haven't been this excited about school since their mother was alive." Maria nodded, uncertain how to respond. Each day in this apartment was a painful reminder of Sarah and the life Maria had lost. "Whatever brought you here," Gloria continued, "those girls needed you." "Thank you, Gloria," Maria said quietly. The housekeeper studied her face. "You know more than you say, don't you? About this family?" Maria hesitated. "It's complicated." "Life always is," Gloria replied. "Just know that you have a friend here." Their conversation was interrupted by the twins returning with their homework. Maria led them to the playroom upstairs, gripping the railing tightly as she climbed. The stairs were always the hardest part of her day, sending sharp pains through her damaged leg. Over the past weeks, Maria had transformed a corner of the playroom into a learning area. There were now maps on the wall, a small bookshelf with reference materials, and a whiteboard for explaining difficult concepts. "What are we working on today?" Maria asked, lowering herself carefully into a chair. "I have math," Daisy groaned. "Fractions." I finished my homework during study hall, Lily said, but I found something in the library. She pulled a science magazine from her backpack. It's about cancer research. Can we talk about this instead? Maria took the magazine, her heart speeding up as she saw the article title, New Breakthroughs in Targeted Cancer Therapies. This was her area of expertise, or it had been before the accident. Are you interested in cancer research? Maria asked carefully. Lily nodded. Mom died of cancer. Dad doesn't like talking about it, but I want to know everything. What kind of cancer did your mother have? Maria asked, though she already knew the answer. A rare kind that grows really fast, Lily said. The doctors tried lots of medicines, but nothing worked. Maria felt a lump in her throat. Sarah had been diagnosed just after Maria's accident. If Maria's research hadn't been shut down, if she had been able to continue her work on that specific type of cancer. My friend was working on that, Maria said before she could stop herself. Your friend? Lily looked up with sudden interest. Yes, a researcher, Maria said, realizing her mistake. She was developing new treatments for rare cancers. Did she know my mom? Lily asked. Maria hesitated. I don't know. Many scientists work on cancer research. What happened to her research? Daisy asked, now interested in the conversation. It was stopped, Maria said. Sometimes good projects don't get the support they need. That's stupid, Daisy declared. If it could help people, they should keep doing it. Yes, Maria agreed quietly. They should. The afternoon continued with homework and educational games. Maria was careful not to reveal more about her past, but the conversation about cancer research had shaken her. When they finished for the day, Maria found herself reluctant to leave. The girls had become important to her in ways she hadn't expected. Will you stay for dinner? Lily asked. Dad said he's coming home early today. I don't think, Maria began. Please? Daisy pleaded. Gloria made lasagna. Before Maria could answer, the elevator doors opened and Marcus stepped into the apartment. He looked tired, but smiled when he saw the three of them. Dad! Daisy ran to hug him. Can Maria stay for dinner? Please? Marcus looked at Maria. Of course, if she'd like to. During dinner, Marcus asked the twins about their day. Maria noticed how he seemed to linger over his food, asking more questions than usual, watching how his daughters interacted with her. Ms. Johnson has been a positive influence, he said when the twins left the table. Their grades are improving and they seem happier. They're wonderful girls, Maria replied. Very smart, like their mother. Marcus's expression changed at the mention of Sarah. Yes, they are. Maria realized her mistake immediately. She shouldn't have mentioned Sarah so casually, as if she knew her. Before Marcus could question her, the elevator chimed. A tall, elegant woman with silver hair stepped into the apartment without knocking. Grandmother! The twins called, running to greet her. The woman accepted their hugs stiffly before turning her sharp gaze to Marcus. I didn't know you were coming, Mother, Marcus said, standing to greet her. Clearly, Eleanor Sterling replied, her eyes moving to Maria. I don't believe we've met. This is Maria Johnson, Marcus explained. She's tutoring the girls after school. Eleanor's eyes narrowed slightly. I see. And what are your qualifications, Miss Johnson? Mother, Marcus said warningly. It's a reasonable question, Eleanor insisted. These are my granddaughters we're talking about. Their education is important. Maria stood carefully, mindful of her leg. I have experience working with children, Mrs. Sterling. Eleanor said, her gaze traveling from Maria's simple clothes to her right leg. Where did you work before this? Various places, Maria said vaguely. How wonderfully specific, Eleanor said with a thin smile. Marcus, may I speak with you privately? Marcus looked apologetic as he followed his mother to his office. The door closed, but their voices carried. Do you know anything about this woman's background? Who she really is? Eleanor demanded. The girls like her, Mother. Their grades are improving. So you hired someone off the street without a proper background check? Since when does Sterling Technologies operate that way? This isn't the company. This is my home, which contains your children. Have you even verified her identity? For all you know, she could be after your money, or worse. Maria felt her face grow hot with shame and anger. She looked for the twins and found them watching her with worried expressions. "Grandmother doesn't like many people," Daisy said quietly. "It's not your fault." "She thinks everyone wants Dad's money," Lily added. Maria smiled sadly. "I should probably go." "No," both girls said at once. Gloria appeared from the kitchen, frowning at the closed office door. "Don't listen to Mrs. Eleanor," she told Maria. "She treats everyone who works here the same way. 20 years I've been with this family, and still she checks her jewelry when I clean her room." The office door opened. Marcus emerged looking frustrated while Eleanor wore an expression of grim satisfaction. "I'll see you girls next Sunday for brunch," Eleanor told her granddaughters before turning to Maria with a cold smile. "Enjoy your evening, Miss Johnson." After Eleanor left, an uncomfortable silence filled the apartment. "I should go," Maria said. "Maria, I apologize for my mother," Marcus said. "She can be difficult." "It's fine," Maria replied. "She cares about her granddaughters." Later that night, as Maria prepared to leave, she passed Marcus's home office. The door was slightly open, and inside she glimpsed a stack of research papers. Curiosity drew her closer. The top paper had Sarah's name listed as the primary author. Maria's hand trembled as she carefully lifted the paper. It was from the cancer research that Sarah had been conducting before her illness, research that had built upon Maria's own work. With a mixture of pain and pride, Maria noticed how brilliantly Sarah had expanded on her theories. Hearing footsteps approaching, Maria quickly put the paper back and stepped away from the desk. As she left the Sterling penthouse, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I saw you today at Sterling's house. We need to talk about what really happened 5 years ago." Maria stared at her phone screen in the back of the taxi. The message glowed in the darkness. "I saw you today at Sterling's house. We need to talk about what really happened 5 years ago." Her hands shook as she typed a reply. "Who is this?" The response came quickly. "James Chen. We work together at Sterling Tech. Meet me tomorrow at Greenwood Coffee in Greenwich Village at 10. Maria remembered James, a kind, brilliant scientist who had been in the lab the day of the explosion. She had often wondered what happened to her former colleagues. The next morning, the coffee shop was nearly empty when Maria arrived. She spotted James immediately, his familiar face now showing more gray hair at the temples. He stood to greet her, his expression a mixture of disbelief and relief. "Maria," he said, "I almost didn't believe it was you. Everyone thought you'd left the country after everything." "I couldn't afford to leave," Maria said simply, sitting across from him. "How did you find me?" "My niece is in the same class as the Sterling twins. She mentioned a new tutor named Maria who walks with a limp." James leaned forward. "What are you doing in Marcus Sterling's home? After what his company did to you?" "It's complicated," Maria sighed. "I needed the job. The girls don't know who I am, and neither does Marcus." James looked troubled. "You should know that Richard Blackwood is still destroying evidence. There are rumors that the accident investigation is being reopened, and he's been seen removing files from the archives." "Why would he still be worried after all this time?" Maria asked. "Because what he did wasn't just negligence. It was criminal," James said. "I left Sterling Tech 6 months ago. I'm working for their main competitor now. We've heard things about safety violations that go beyond what happened to you." Maria absorbed this information silently. For 5 years, she had tried to forget Sterling Technologies and focus on survival. Now the past was resurfacing. "Be careful, Maria," James warned. "Blackwood is dangerous when he feels threatened." At Sterling Technologies headquarters, Richard Blackwood was on a video call with Marcus discussing the upcoming board meeting. "The Cancer Research Division needs more funding," Marcus was saying. "I've been reviewing Sarah's old projects. There was promising work that got shelved." Richard's face remained neutral. Those projects were costly with minimal return potential. "That's not what Sarah thought," Marcus countered, "and she was usually right about these things." The conversation shifted to scheduling. Marcus checked his calendar on screen. "I can't make Thursday at 4. Maria will be with the girls until 6. Richard's attention sharpened. "Maria?" "The twins' tutor," Marcus explained. "She's been with us for almost a month now." Richard caught a glimpse of a schedule on Marcus's desk. The name Maria Johnson was clearly visible. "I see," Richard said, his voice carefully controlled. "I need to cut this short. Something just came up." After ending the call, Richard sat motionless at his desk. Maria Johnson. It couldn't be a coincidence. He picked up his phone and dialed a private number. "I need information on someone," he told the person who answered, discreetly. "Her name is Maria Johnson. She's working as a tutor for Marcus Sterling's daughters." That evening, Maria sat at the Sterling's dining table, now a regular presence at their family dinners. The autumn rain pattered against the windows as Gloria served pasta. "This is delicious," Maria commented. "It was Sarah's recipe," Marcus said. "The girls always request it." "Mom made the best pasta," Daisy said proudly. The conversation flowed easily. Over the past weeks, Marcus had begun arriving home earlier to join these dinners. Tonight, he seemed particularly engaged. "There's an engineering problem at one of our manufacturing plants," he told Maria. "The cooling system keeps failing during production runs." "Have you checked the pressure regulators?" Maria asked without thinking. Older systems often have micro-fractures in the regulator valves that don't show up in standard diagnostics. Marcus looked at her with surprise. "That's actually a very technical suggestion. How do you know about pressure regulators?" Maria realized her mistake. "I had a friend who was an engineer. He talked about his work a lot." Marcus nodded, but his expression remained curious. "I'll have the team check the regulators." After dinner, the twins asked Maria to help with a school project on astronomy. As they worked in the living room, Marcus watched from his office doorway, struck by the easy rapport between Maria and his daughters. Later that night, after Maria had gone home and the girls were in bed, Marcus searched online for information about Maria Johnson. He found nothing recent. No social media profiles, no employment records. It was as if she had disappeared from the digital world 5 years ago. Meanwhile, a private investigator sat in a car across from the Sterling building, photographing Maria as she left. He followed her to the subway station and noted which train she took. The next day was Friday. Maria arrived at the Sterling penthouse to find the twins excited about the weekend ahead. "Dad said we can go to the museum tomorrow," Daisy told her. "The Science Museum," Lily clarified. "We're studying planets in school." Their work session was productive, with both girls completing homework early. As they started an educational game, thunder boomed outside. Daisy jumped, her face suddenly fearful. "I hate storms," she whispered. "They're just noise," Lily said practically. That night, Maria stayed later than usual. Marcus had called to say he was stuck in a meeting, and Gloria had left early for a family emergency. As the storm intensified, Maria helped the twins prepare for bed. Near midnight, a scream pierced the apartment. Maria rushed to the twins' bedroom to find Daisy sitting up in bed, sobbing uncontrollably. "She had a nightmare," Lily explained, sitting beside her sister. "She gets them during storms." Maria sat on the edge of Daisy's bed. "Do you want to talk about it?" Daisy wiped her eyes. "I dreamed about Mom dying again. It was raining that day, too." Maria gently stroked Daisy's hair. "When I was little and scared, my father told me something that helped me." "What?" Daisy asked between sniffles. "He said that the people we love who are gone become stars. They shine down on us at night, watching over us. And sometimes when they really want us to know they're there, they shine extra bright." "Like stars?" Daisy asked. "Exactly like stars," Maria said. "And even when clouds cover the sky, the stars are still there. We just can't see them for a while." "Do you think Mom is a star now?" Daisy asked. "I think she's one of the brightest stars up there," Maria said softly. "And she's always watching over you and Lily." Unknown to Maria, Marcus had arrived home and stood silently in the hallway, listening. The tenderness in Maria's voice as she comforted his daughter touched something deep inside him. Yet questions lingered. Who was this woman who seemed to understand his daughters so well? Who knew about engineering and spoke of Sarah as if she understood their loss personally? The next morning, Marcus found Maria in the kitchen preparing breakfast for the twins. "You handled Daisy's nightmare well," he said. "Thank you for staying late." "They're wonderful girls," Maria replied. "You should be proud of them." "I am," Marcus said. "They've become attached to you." "I've become attached to them too," Maria admitted. Marcus hesitated. "Maria, I realize I know very little about you. Where did you work before this?" Maria tensed. "Various places. Nothing permanent." "And before that?" Marcus pressed gently. "I'd rather not discuss my past," Maria said firmly. Their conversation was interrupted by Marcus's phone ringing. It was Richard Blackwood. "We need to talk," Richard said urgently. "About Maria Johnson." "What about her?" Marcus asked, moving away so Maria couldn't hear. "I think I know who she is," Richard said. "And if I'm right, she shouldn't be anywhere near your family." Marcus looked back at Maria, who was now helping the twins set the table, laughing at something Daisy had said. Could this woman who had brought light back into his home be hiding something dangerous? "I'll come to your office this afternoon," Marcus told Richard, his voice low. "This better be important." As he hung up, Marcus didn't notice the man across the street photographing Maria through the penthouse windows. Nor did he see the same man speaking on the phone to Richard Blackwood moments later. Marcus arrived at Sterling Technologies that afternoon, his mind still on the breakfast conversation with Maria. The glossy skyscraper that housed his company felt strangely unwelcoming today. Richard Blackwood was waiting in his corner office, a thick folder on his desk. His perfect silver hair and expensive suit made him look more like a politician than a businessman. "Thank you for coming," Richard said, gesturing to a chair. "What I'm about to share is sensitive." "Just tell me what this is about," Marcus said impatiently. Richard opened the folder and slid a photograph across the desk. It showed a group of scientists in white lab coats. Standing in the front row was a younger, professional-looking Maria, her hair shorter, her stance confident. "This is from our company archives," Richard explained. "Maria Johnson wasn't just anyone. She was Dr. Maria Johnson, one of our senior research scientists 5 years ago." Marcus stared at the photo. "That's impossible. Why would a scientist end up as a tutor? Why wouldn't she tell me?" "Because of this," Richard slid another document forward. "She was fired for negligence after causing a laboratory explosion. The accident injured several people, including herself." Marcus picked up the termination notice with Maria's name on it. "I don't remember this incident. It happened during your expansion into Europe. I handled it to spare you the details during a crucial business period," Richard said smoothly. "The point is, this woman has hidden her true identity to gain access to your home and your children." Marcus felt a cold sensation spreading through his chest. "What else do you know about her? She was Sarah's graduate advisor years ago. They remained close," Richard added. "I believe she's using that connection and your daughters to manipulate you, possibly for revenge against the company." "That's a serious accusation," Marcus said. "I'm concerned for your family's safety," Richard replied. "Someone this deceptive can't be trusted." Marcus stood up. "I need to think about this." As he drove home, Marcus's thoughts raced. If Maria had been Sarah's mentor and friend, why keep it secret? What else was she hiding? The next morning broke clear and crisp. Marcus had barely slept, weighing what to do about Maria. He decided to wait, watch, and gather more information before confronting her again. His plan changed when Lily woke with a high fever. "Dad, I don't feel good," she called weakly from her bedroom. Marcus found his daughter flushed and shivering despite the blankets covering her. When he touched her forehead, it burned against his palm. 103.8, he read from the thermometer, trying to keep the panic from his voice. "We're going to the emergency room." "No," Lily protested weakly. "Call Maria. She'll know what to do." "Lily, this is serious. You need a doctor," Marcus insisted. "Please, Dad," Lily begged. "Maria first." Daisy stood in the doorway, eyes wide with worry. "Maria helped Mom when she got fevers during her treatments," Lily remembers. This statement froze Marcus in place. How would Daisy know this unless Maria had told them? He made 2 quick calls, one to his doctor who agreed to make a house call, and one to Maria. Maria arrived 20 minutes later, slightly out of breath from hurrying. "Where is she?" she asked immediately. "In her room," Marcus said. "The doctor is on his way, but she wanted you." Maria limped quickly to Lily's bedroom. Her reaction upon seeing the girl was immediate and professional. She checked Lily's eyes, felt her glands, and asked specific questions about symptoms. "This looks like a reaction I've seen before," Maria said, rolling up her sleeves. "Does Lily take any medications regularly?" "Just vitamins," Marcus replied. "What about recently? Any new medications in the past 24 hours? Maria pressed. Marcus thought for a moment. "She had a headache yesterday. Gloria gave her children's pain medicine from the cabinet." Maria moved to the bathroom and checked the medicine cabinet. She returned holding a bottle. "This expired 8 months ago," she said. "Some pain medications can cause fever reactions when they break down past their expiration date. It's rare, but I've seen it happen." She turned to Daisy. "Can you bring me a glass of water with a teaspoon of baking soda mixed in? And a cool, damp cloth?" Daisy rushed to comply while Maria sat beside Lily, speaking softly to her. When Daisy returned, Maria helped Lily drink the mixture slowly. "This will help neutralize the medication and reduce the fever," she explained to Marcus. "The cloth on her forehead will make her more comfortable until the doctor arrives." Marcus watched as Maria cared for his daughter with confidence and precision. Within 20 minutes, Lily's fever had dropped a full degree. The doorbell rang, and Marcus went to let the doctor in. But when the elevator doors opened, it wasn't the doctor who stood there. It was Richard Blackwood. "I thought we should continue our conversation," Richard said, stepping into the apartment uninvited. "I brought more information about—" He stopped mid-sentence as Maria emerged from Lily's bedroom. Their eyes met across the living room. Richard's face registered genuine shock. "Dr. Johnson?" he said, his voice betraying his disbelief. Maria's body tensed, her face hardening into a mask. "Mr. Blackwood." The air in the room seemed to crackle with tension. Marcus looked between them, confirmation of Richard's claims written clearly in their mutual recognition. "What are you doing here?" Richard demanded. "Helping Lily," Maria replied coldly. "She had a reaction to expired medication." "Dad!" Daisy's voice called from the bedroom. "Lily's asking for Maria!" Maria turned away without another word and limped back to Lily's room. Richard grabbed Marcus's arm. "Do you see now?" he hissed. "She's infiltrated your home under false pretenses. You need to get her out of here immediately." Before Marcus could respond, the elevator opened again, this time revealing the family doctor. Marcus quickly explained the situation, and the doctor went to examine Lily. When he emerged 15 minutes later, his assessment was clear. "The fever is already coming down. Whatever Ms. Johnson gave her is working. Keep her hydrated, continue the cool compresses, and she should be fine by tomorrow." After the doctor left, Marcus found Maria in the kitchen, washing the glass Lily had used. "The medicine you gave her," Marcus said quietly. "That's not common knowledge for a tutor." Maria's shoulders slumped slightly. "No, it's not." You recognized the symptoms because you'd seen them before. With Sarah during her chemotherapy, Marcus continued, because you were her friend, her mentor. Maria turned to face him. Yes. You were also a senior researcher at my company, Marcus said, until an accident 5 years ago. That's right, Maria acknowledged, her voice steady despite her obvious discomfort. Why didn't you tell me who you were when we met? Would you have helped me if you knew? Maria asked. Would you have invited me into your home if you knew I was from your past? Marcus couldn't answer. I needed the job, Maria continued, and then I met the twins and they reminded me so much of Sarah. I couldn't leave them. What really happened 5 years ago? Marcus asked. Richard says you were fired for causing an explosion through negligence. Pain flashed across Maria's face. Is that what he told you? Their conversation was interrupted by Daisy running into the kitchen. Maria! Lily's fever is almost gone. She wants to know if she can have juice. Yes, apple juice would be good for her, Maria said gently. After Daisy left with the juice, Maria turned back to Marcus. Your daughter needs rest. We can continue this conversation later. No, Marcus said firmly. I need to know the truth now. Who are you really, Dr. Maria Johnson, and what happened at my company 5 years ago? Maria took a deep breath. I was the head of a special research division focused on rare cancers, the same kind that later took Sarah's life. The explosion happened in my laboratory, yes, but it wasn't due to my negligence. Then what caused it? Marcus demanded. Cost-cutting measures, Maria said. Richard Blackwood ordered the replacement of key safety equipment with cheaper alternatives. I filed reports warning that the substitutions were dangerous, but they were ignored. When the explosion happened, Richard made sure those reports disappeared. He needed a scapegoat, so he blamed me. Marcus struggled to process this information. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth, Maria said simply. After I was fired, I tried to find another position, but Richard had blacklisted me in the industry. No one would hire me. Then my injury got worse, medical bills piled up, and eventually, I lost everything. Why didn't Sarah help you? Marcus asked. If you were so close? She didn't know, Maria said, her voice breaking slightly. The accident happened right before her diagnosis. I couldn't burden her with my problems while she was fighting for her life. Marcus ran his hands through his hair, overwhelmed. I need to verify your story. I understand, Maria said, but there's something else you should know. The research I was doing. It might have helped Sarah. After I was gone, the entire project was terminated. The implication of her words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Before he could respond, the elevator chimed. This time it was Eleanor Sterling who stepped into the apartment. Marcus, she said, her voice sharp with concern. Richard called me. We need to talk about this situation immediately. She glared at Maria with undisguised hostility. I think it's time for Ms. Johnson, or should I say, Dr. Johnson, to leave. Eleanor's voice filled the apartment, cold and commanding. This woman has deceived all of you. Richard explained everything to me. Mother, now isn't the time, Marcus said. Lily is sick. I'll check on her, Maria offered quietly, trying to move past Eleanor. You will do no such thing, Eleanor blocked her path. You've done enough damage. Grandmother, no! Daisy appeared in the doorway, her small face flushed with anger. Maria made Lily better. The doctor said so. Eleanor softened her voice. Daisy, dear, you don't understand. This woman isn't who she claims to be. Maria, please check on Lily, Marcus said firmly. Mother, we'll talk in my office. As Maria limped toward the twins' bedroom, Eleanor followed Marcus, her heels clicking sharply on the hardwood floor. Once the office door closed behind them, she wasted no time. I had dinner with Richard last night. He showed me everything, she said. That woman was fired from your company for causing an accident that injured multiple people. She's clearly unstable and has wormed her way into your home under false pretenses. It's more complicated than that, Marcus replied, sitting heavily in his chair. What's complicated? She lied about who she is. Yes, but her reasons might be understandable, Marcus said. He rubbed his eyes, exhausted from the sleepless night and the morning's events. I spent hours last night researching her background. She was brilliant, Mother. A rising star in cancer research with dozens of published papers. She won awards. Universities wanted her. And then she caused an explosion and was rightfully fired, Eleanor said dismissively. Or she was wrongfully blamed, Marcus countered. I found discrepancies in the accident reports. Eleanor stared at her son. You can't possibly believe her over Richard. He's been your right hand for 15 years. I don't know what to believe right now, Marcus admitted, but I do know she just helped Lily when she was sick. She knew exactly what to do. Because she's manipulating you through the girls, Eleanor insisted. Can't you see that? Their argument was interrupted by a soft knock. Gloria stood at the door with a concerned expression. Excuse me, Mr. Sterling? Lily is asking for you. In the twins' bedroom, Lily sat propped up against her pillows, her color much improved. Maria sat beside her, reading from a science book. Both looked up when Marcus entered. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Marcus asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. Much better, Lily said. Maria made the fever go away. Maria closed the book and stood. I should go. No, both twins protested in unison. Your grandmother is right, Maria said gently. I haven't been completely honest with you all. Daisy grabbed Maria's hand. We don't care. You help us and you're nice and you know cool science stuff. Lily looked directly at her father. Dad, is Maria in trouble? Marcus sighed. It's complicated, Lily. Because she used to work with Mom? Lily asked. Marcus stared at his daughter in surprise. How did you know that? Lily reached under her pillow and pulled out a folded paper. I found this in Mom's things last week. I was looking for pictures of her for my school project. She handed the paper to her father. It was a photograph of Sarah and Maria, arms linked, both smiling in front of a laboratory sign that read, Sterling Technologies Cancer Research Division. Why didn't you tell me about this? Marcus asked Lily. I was going to ask Maria about it, Lily said, but I wanted to be sure first. Marcus looked at the photograph, then at Maria. We need to talk. Privately. In the living room, Eleanor was waiting, her face set in an expression of disapproval. Mother, please take the girls out for lunch when Lily feels up to it, Marcus said. Maria and I need to discuss some things. I will not leave you alone with her, Eleanor protested. Yes, you will, Marcus replied firmly. This is my home and my decision. Eleanor's eyes narrowed, but she recognized the tone in her son's voice. Fine, but Richard will be joining us for dinner tonight to discuss this situation properly. After Eleanor left to sit with the twins, Marcus gestured for Maria to follow him to his home office. Once inside, he closed the door and took a deep breath. I want the whole truth, he said. Everything. Maria nodded slowly. Where should I start? The beginning. How did you know Sarah? Maria's eyes softened at the mention of Sarah's name. I was her graduate advisor at MIT. She was the most promising student I'd ever worked with. After she graduated, I helped recruit her to Sterling Technologies when I joined the company 7 years ago. She never mentioned you, Marcus said. We stayed close professionally, but our personal relationship became more distant after her marriage, Maria explained. Sarah wanted to establish herself on her own merits, not as my protege. Marcus nodded. That sounded like Sarah. Tell me about the accident, he said. Maria's face tightened. It happened 5 years ago. I was leading a promising new research project on targeted cancer therapies. Richard had recently become COO, and he immediately began cutting costs in research and development. Standard business practice, Marcus noted. Not when it comes to safety equipment, Maria countered. He replaced our emergency ventilation systems with cheaper alternatives that didn't meet safety standards. I filed 3 separate reports warning of the dangers. I never saw those reports, Marcus said. They were buried, Maria said simply. When the new system failed during an experiment, dangerous gases built up and caused an explosion. 2 researchers were injured, and a piece of equipment crushed the nerves in my right leg. She paused, her voice growing harder. Richard moved quickly. He claimed I had ignored safety protocols. The reports I had filed mysteriously disappeared from the system. He had me fired for negligence and made sure no one in the industry would hire me. Why didn't you fight back? File a lawsuit? With what money? Maria asked. I spent everything I had on medical bills. Without health insurance from my job, the treatments for my leg nearly bankrupted me. By the time I realized what Richard had done, I was broke, unemployable, and in constant pain. And Sarah? Why didn't you contact her? Marcus asked. Maria's eyes filled with tears. She was diagnosed with cancer 3 months after the accident. I saw the announcement in a scientific journal. I couldn't burden her with my problems while she was fighting for her life. Marcus stood and walked to the window, looking out at the Central Park view as he processed this information. The research you were doing, he said finally, could it really have helped Sarah? Maria hesitated. I can't promise it would have saved her. But yes, it was specifically targeted at the type of cancer Sarah developed. After I was gone, Richard canceled the entire project, claiming it was too expensive with uncertain returns. Marcus felt a wave of anger and grief wash over him. If what Maria was saying was true, his own company, his own negligence in monitoring that company, might have contributed to Sarah's death. I need to verify all of this, he said, turning back to face her. I understand, Maria replied, but you should know that Richard has had 5 years to cover his tracks. He's very thorough. Marcus looked at the woman sitting before him, dignified despite her circumstances, brilliant despite her fall from grace. He wanted to believe her, but the implications were too serious to accept without proof. I think it's best if you take some time away while I investigate, he said finally. Paid leave, of course. I'll continue your salary. Pain flashed across Maria's face, but she nodded. The girls will be upset. I'll explain that you need to rest after helping Lily, Marcus said. It's not a lie. Maria stood carefully. For what it's worth, Marcus, your daughters are extraordinary. They remind me so much of Sarah, her curiosity, her kindness. Whatever you decide about me, please nurture those qualities in them. After Maria left, Marcus sat alone in his office for a long time. Finally, he picked up his phone and called Jenny, his assistant at Sterling Technologies. I need you to do something discreetly, he said. Pull all the records from the laboratory accident 5 years ago, the one involving Dr. Maria Johnson. And I want to see every safety report filed in the 3 months before that accident. Don't tell anyone what you're doing, especially Richard Blackwood. As Marcus hung up, he didn't notice Lily standing in the doorway of his office, a folded paper in her hand. Dad, she said quietly, I found something else in Mom's things. It says Maria was working on something that could have saved her. Marcus took the paper from Lily's hand, his heart racing. It was a research proposal written in Sarah's handwriting, referencing Maria's earlier work. Where did you find this? He asked softly. In Mom's old office stuff. The box is in the storage room, Lily replied. I wanted to learn more about her work. Marcus scanned the document. Sarah had been planning to continue Maria's cancer research after Maria's dismissal from the company. She had outlined specific treatment approaches based on Maria's original theories. Did Mom ever finish this work? Lily asked. No, sweetheart. She got sick before she could, Marcus answered, his voice tight with emotion. So Maria was telling the truth? Lily pressed. Marcus looked at his daughter's serious face. At 10 years old, she was too perceptive, too much like her mother. I'm trying to find out, he said honestly. Why don't you go check on your sister? After Lily left, Marcus stared at the paper in his hands. Sarah had believed in Maria's research. She had wanted to continue it. What else had he missed while focusing on expanding the company? In her small Brooklyn apartment, Maria sat on the edge of her bed, feeling hollow. A week had passed since Marcus had asked her to take a leave of absence, a week with no contact from him or the twins. The silence felt like a final judgment. Her apartment was a stark contrast to the Sterling penthouse. A single room with a kitchenette, the paint peeling in corners, a narrow window overlooking a brick wall. On one wall hung her framed academic achievements, her MIT diploma, scientific awards, published research papers, relics from a different life. Her phone rang, breaking the silence. It was Gloria. "Maria? It's Gloria Rodriguez." "Gloria, is everything okay?" Maria asked, immediately concerned. "The twins are miserable without you," Gloria reported. "They ask about you every day. Mr. Sterling has been locked in meetings at the company all week. He comes home late, looking worried." Maria sighed. "He's investigating what I told him." "The girls miss you," Gloria repeated. "They're planning something, but they won't tell me what." After they hung up, Maria looked around her small apartment. She had allowed herself to care too much, to hope too much. The familiar pain of loss settled over her again. At Sterling Technologies headquarters, Marcus sat in the company archives surrounded by boxes of documents. Jenny, his assistant, placed another stack of papers on the table. "These are the email backups from that time period," she explained. "The IT director recovered them from our deep storage servers." "Thank you, Jenny. Has Richard asked what I'm doing down here?" "Twice. I told him you're reviewing old projects for potential relaunch." Marcus nodded, turning his attention to the emails. For days, he had been piecing together what happened 5 years ago. The picture emerging confirmed Maria's story. He had found copies of Maria's safety warnings archived by a junior technician who had suspected something wrong. He had discovered altered accident reports with different versions filed to the insurance company versus the internal record. Most damning were emails between Richard and the safety equipment supplier, negotiating cheaper alternatives below industry standards. "Mr. Sterling?" A voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Davis, the head of IT. "I found something you should see." Davis placed his laptop on the table and pulled up a series of deleted emails. "These were permanently deleted from the system, but our backup servers retained fragments. They're communications between Mr. Blackwood and board members immediately after the accident." Marcus read the screen, his anger growing. The emails showed Richard actively working to discredit Maria, suggesting she was emotionally unstable and negligent, while quietly authorizing settlements with injured employees who agreed to support the official story. "There's more," Davis said hesitantly. "I found correspondence between your late wife and Dr. Johnson." He pulled up another set of emails. Marcus read them with a growing sense of loss. The messages revealed the deep friendship between Sarah and Maria, their shared research passion, their personal bond. In one email, dated just before Sarah's diagnosis, she had written, "I miss our collaborations, Maria. No one challenges my thinking like you do. I don't know what happened with the company, but I want you to know I'm still here as your friend." Maria had never replied. By then, she must have learned of Sarah's illness and chosen not to burden her. Back at the penthouse, Lily and Daisy huddled in their bedroom, whispering urgently. "We need Maria's address," Daisy insisted. "Dad won't tell us anything." "Gloria might know," Lily suggested. The girls found Gloria in the kitchen preparing dinner. "Gloria, we need your help," Lily said solemnly. "It's important." Gloria looked at their serious faces. "What do you need, niñas?" "We want to visit Maria," Daisy explained. "We found Mom's research about Maria's work." "It might have helped Mom if it wasn't stopped." "Your father wouldn't approve," Gloria warned. "Dad is too busy investigating," Lily countered. "But we know Maria is good. She helped me when I was sick." Gloria hesitated. "Maria lives in Brooklyn. It's far from here." "Please, Gloria," Daisy pleaded. "We can take a taxi." We just need the address." After extracting promises that they would be careful, Gloria reluctantly gave them Maria's address. The next morning, while their father was at the office and Gloria was shopping for groceries, the twins called a taxi and headed to Brooklyn. Maria was startled by a knock on her door. Few people visited her here. When she opened it, she was shocked to find Lily and Daisy standing in the hallway, each carrying a backpack. "What are you doing here?" she gasped. "Does your father know where you are?" "No," Lily admitted. "We came by ourselves." "We needed to see you," Daisy added. "And we brought something." Maria ushered them inside, stunned and concerned. "I need to call your father. He must be worried sick." "Wait," Lily said, opening her backpack. "Look at what we found." She pulled out several notebooks with Sarah's name on the covers. "These are Mom's research journals. She wrote about your work. She believed in it." Maria's hands trembled as she took the notebooks. "Lily, these are your mother's personal papers. They're precious." "Mom trusted you," Lily said simply. "We do too." "That's why we came," Daisy added. "Dad is trying to figure out the truth, but we already know it." Maria was touched by their faith but terrified of the consequences. "Your father will be extremely worried when he finds you're gone. I need to call him right now." At the Sterling penthouse, Marcus returned home early to share his findings with the twins. He wanted to explain why Maria had left and when she might return. "Girls?" he called, entering the quiet apartment. "Gloria?" He found a note on the kitchen counter from Gloria saying she had gone grocery shopping, but there was no sign of the twins. Panic rising, Marcus called their phones. Both went straight to voicemail. He called Gloria, who answered immediately. "The girls aren't here," he said urgently. "Do you know where they are?" Gloria's hesitation told him everything. "Senor Sterling, they may have gone to see Maria." "Maria? How would they even know where she lives?" Marcus demanded. "They were very persuasive," Gloria admitted. "I gave them her address. They promised to be careful." Marcus hung up and rushed to his car, calling the police on the way. Within minutes, he was speeding toward Brooklyn, fear gripping his heart. The city streets had never seemed so dangerous, so threatening to his children's safety. When he finally reached Maria's building, he raced up the stairs, too impatient to wait for the elevator. He pounded on her door, out of breath and frantic. Maria opened it immediately. "Marcus! I was just about to call you." He pushed past her, desperate to see his daughters. "Lily? Daisy?" The twins sat on a worn sofa, Sarah's journals spread around them. They looked up, surprised by their father's entrance. "Dad! We found Mom's research about Maria's work," Daisy exclaimed. "Do you have any idea how worried I was?" Marcus demanded, relief quickly turning to anger. "You can't just disappear like that." "We're sorry," Lily said quietly, "but we needed to bring these to Maria. Mom would have wanted her to have them." Marcus looked around the small apartment, taking in the stark contrast between Maria's current life and her wall of impressive achievements. Framed diplomas and awards hung beside peeling paint. A pile of medical bills sat on a small table. The injustice of her situation hit him with full force. "I found proof," he told Maria. "Everything you said was true. Richard falsified reports, covered up evidence, and blacklisted you in the industry." Maria nodded, unsurprised. "What will you do now?" "First, I'm taking my daughters home," Marcus said firmly. "Then, I want you to come back to the penthouse tomorrow. We have a lot to discuss about your future, and the future of Sterling Technologies." As they prepared to leave, Marcus noticed a photograph on Maria's nightstand. Maria and Sarah at a conference, arms linked, both smiling broadly. It was the same friendship that had brought Maria into his home, that had given his daughters someone to trust after their mother's death. He realized with sudden clarity that Sarah had somehow brought Maria to them when they needed her most. "We're going to make this right," he told Maria. "All of it." The next evening, Marcus paced in his penthouse living room. He checked his watch for the 5th time in 20 minutes. "Dad, stop worrying," Lily said from the sofa. where she and Daisy were dressed in their best clothes. Maria will be here. She's just making sure she looks nice, Daisy added. Gloria's daughter lent her a fancy dress. Marcus nodded, adjusting his tie. The annual Sterling Technologies Charity Gala at the Metropolitan Museum of Art was the biggest social event of the year. Board members, business partners, and New York's elite would all be there, including Richard Blackwood. The elevator chimed, and Maria stepped into the apartment. She wore a deep burgundy gown that transformed her usual appearance. Her hair was styled elegantly, and she stood straighter, almost forgetting to favor her injured leg. "You look nice," Marcus said, surprised by his own reaction. "Thank you," Maria replied quietly. "Gloria's daughter is very generous. I haven't worn a dress like this in years." "Are you ready for tonight?" Marcus asked. Maria took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." "Are you sure this is the right approach? The board will all be there. I've already spoken with several members privately and showed them the evidence. They're prepared to support us." Marcus looked at his daughters. "Are you two clear on your part?" Lily patted her small handbag. "I have my tablet ready to record anything important. And I'll keep watch and text Lily if I see Mr. Blackwood coming," Daisy added. Maria looked concerned. "I still don't like involving the girls." "We want to help," Lily said firmly. "Mom would want us to help make things right." "Let's go," Marcus said, checking his watch again. "The car is waiting." The Metropolitan Museum of Art was illuminated against the night sky as they arrived. Photographers lined the entrance, capturing images of guests in formal attire. When Marcus stepped out with Maria and the twins, camera flashes exploded around them. "Who's that with Marcus Sterling?" one reporter called out. "Is she his date?" another shouted. Marcus guided Maria and the girls past the reporters without comment. Inside, the museum's grand hall had been transformed for the gala. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over hundreds of guests in elegant clothes. A string quartet played softly in one corner. "The girls and I will mingle separately," Marcus whispered to Maria. "It's better if Richard doesn't see us together right away." Maria nodded, suddenly nervous, as Marcus and the twins moved into the crowd. She stood alone, feeling out of place despite her beautiful dress. Several people glanced at her curiously, but no one approached. She walked slowly through the gallery, admiring the ancient artifacts while avoiding eye contact with other guests. In the Egyptian wing, she paused to study a glass case of jewelry. A voice behind her made her freeze. "Maria? Maria Johnson, is that really you?" She turned to find Dr. James Chen staring at her in shock. Her former colleague was older now, with more gray in his hair, but his voice was just as loud as she remembered. "James," she said quietly, "it's good to see you." "My God, it is you!" James exclaimed, his voice echoing in the gallery. "Everyone thought you'd left the country after the accident. What are you doing here?" Several nearby guests turned to look at them. Maria noticed heads turning, whispers starting. "James, please lower your voice," she urged. Sorry, he said, still too loudly. "It's just such a shock seeing you here, at a Sterling Technologies event of all places." Across the room, Richard Blackwood was speaking with Eleanor Sterling when he heard James's exclamation. His head snapped toward the sound, eyes narrowing as he spotted Maria. "Excuse me," he said abruptly to Eleanor. "There's something I need to handle." As Richard moved purposefully through the crowd, Daisy noticed and quickly texted her sister, "RB, coming your way." Lily, who had been near the refreshment table, immediately headed toward the Egyptian wing, her tablet ready in her small purse. Maria was still trying to quiet James when Richard appeared, his face a mask of controlled anger. "Dr. Johnson," he said coldly, "this is a private event. How did you get in?" "I invited her," Marcus said, appearing behind Richard, "as my guest." Richard turned, momentarily startled. "Marcus, you don't understand who this woman is." "Actually, Richard, I understand perfectly," Marcus replied. "Maria is a former employee of Sterling Technologies. who was wrongfully terminated after an accident that wasn't her fault. Richard's expression hardened. That's not what happened. She was fired for negligence that endangered other employees. I have the documentation. Falsified documentation, Marcus countered. I've seen the real reports, Richard. The ones you deleted, but our backup servers still had. More guests were gathering around them now, sensing drama. Eleanor Sterling pushed her way to the front, looking alarmed. Marcus, what are you doing? She hissed. This isn't the place for this discussion. Richard straightened his tie, regaining his composure. Your mother is right. This is hardly appropriate for our charity gala. He turned to the gathering crowd with a practiced smile. Please, everyone, enjoy the evening. This is just a small misunderstanding. As the guests reluctantly dispersed, Richard grabbed Maria's arm and pulled her behind a large sarcophagus, out of sight from most of the room. I don't know what you think you're doing, he snarled, his pleasant facade gone. But no one will believe you after 5 years. You'll look like a desperate, mentally unstable woman seeking revenge. What Richard didn't notice was Lily slipping behind a nearby display case, her tablet recording everything. I have proof, Richard, Maria said calmly. Documents that show you knew the safety equipment was substandard. Reports that warned of exactly what happened. Richard laughed dismissively. Against my word? The respected COO versus a disgraced scientist who's been scrubbing toilets for 5 years. Is that what you think I've been doing? Maria asked. I know exactly what you've been doing, Richard said. I've had you followed. You're nothing now. No one will listen to you. I'm listening, Marcus said, stepping out from where he had been standing behind a column. And I have the board listening too. Richard's face paled. Marcus, she's manipulating you, using your daughters to get close to you, using your grief over Sarah. Don't you dare mention my wife, Marcus said, his voice dangerously quiet. Sarah valued integrity above all else, something you know nothing about. Everything I did was for the company, Richard insisted. Yes, I cut some corners on safety equipment. Yes, I covered it up when things went wrong. But the savings helped us expand into Europe that year. The shareholders benefited. You falsified safety reports, Marcus said. You fired Maria to cover your tracks, and when she was gone, you canceled her cancer research program. Research that might have helped Sarah. That program was expensive with minimal profit potential, Richard scoffed. It was a business decision. It was my wife's life, Marcus shouted, lunging forward and grabbing Richard by his expensive suit lapels. Richard stumbled backward against a display case, sending a small statuette crashing to the floor. Guests gasped and security guards started rushing toward the commotion. Marcus, stop! Maria cried, limping quickly to pull him away. This isn't the justice I want, and it's not what Sarah would have wanted either. At the mention of Sarah's name, Marcus froze. He released Richard and stepped back, breathing heavily. Richard straightened his jacket, a triumphant smirk forming on his face. Always the hothead, Marcus? Assaulting a company officer in public? The board will hear about this. They certainly will, Lily said, stepping forward with her tablet. They'll hear everything you just said. I recorded it all. Richard's face drained of color as he looked at the small device in Lily's hands. You can't, that's illegal. Actually, Marcus said, New York is a one-party consent state for recordings, and my daughter had my consent. Museum security guards arrived, followed by several board members who had witnessed the confrontation. Mr. Sterling, Mr. Blackwood, we need to ask you both to step outside, one guard said firmly. Of course, Marcus agreed. Board members, would you join us? I think it's time for an emergency meeting. As they moved toward the exit, photographers and reporters outside noticed the commotion. Camera flashes exploded as Marcus, Richard, and several stern-looking board members emerged from the museum. What's happening? Reporters shouted. Is there a problem at Sterling Technologies? Eleanor Sterling watched in horror as her carefully orchestrated social event dissolved into chaos. Then, surprising everyone, she approached Maria, who stood alone near the museum entrance. "This publicity will destroy the company unless we find a way to control the narrative," Eleanor said urgently, "and I think you're the only one who can help us do that." Maria stared at her in disbelief. "Me? You've made it very clear what you think of me." Eleanor's expression remained hard, but her voice softened slightly. "I care about my son's company and my granddaughter's future. Pride is a luxury I can't afford right now." She glanced toward the reporters swarming around Marcus and Richard. "Sarah would have known how to handle this mess. She always said you were the smartest person she knew. Even smarter than her." Maria looked at the chaos unfolding before them. Marcus and Richard being separated by security as reporters shouted questions, the twins standing to one side looking both proud and frightened, board members huddled in urgent conversation. "What do you have in mind?" Maria asked finally. Eleanor took a deep breath. "A press conference, tomorrow morning. We acknowledge the past mistakes, reinstate you publicly, and announce a new direction for the company, one that honors Sarah's memory." Maria considered the proposal, watching as Lily played the recording for the board members, their faces growing increasingly grave as they listened. "I'll help," she said at last. "Not for you or for the company. For Sarah, and for the twins." Eleanor nodded sharply. "I wouldn't expect anything else." As photographers continued to capture images of the unfolding drama, Maria felt a small hand slip into hers. Daisy looked up at her with worried eyes. "Did we do the right thing?" she asked quietly. Maria squeezed her hand. "Yes, the truth is always right, even when it's difficult." "Mom would think so too," Lily added, joining them. Maria put her arms around both girls as they watched Marcus walking toward them, determination on his face and the support of the board members visible behind him. Whatever happened next, everything had changed. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows of the Sterling penthouse as Maria stared at the headlines on Marcus's tablet. "Sterling Technologies, Scandal Erupts at Charity Gala. CEO Attacks Kuo Over Former Employee Claims. Sterling Family Drama. Who is the mystery woman in red?" Photos of Marcus grabbing Richard's suit and security guards separating them filled every news site. One particularly dramatic image showed Maria standing with the twins as chaos unfolded around them. "The press is having a field day," Marcus said, entering the living room where an emergency meeting was about to begin. "But the board is on our side after hearing Richard's confession." The penthouse was filled with people. Sterling Technologies' legal team sat around the dining table surrounded by documents and laptops. 3 key board members occupied the sofa, speaking in hushed tones. Eleanor Sterling stood by the window, impeccably dressed despite the early hour. Maria felt out of place in her borrowed clothes. The burgundy gown from last night had been replaced by a simple blouse and skirt that Gloria's daughter had lent her. "Let's begin," Marcus announced, calling everyone to attention. "We need to address this situation before the markets open tomorrow." The lead attorney, a serious woman named Patricia Walsh, spoke first. "Based on the evidence Mr. Sterling has provided and the recorded confession, Mr. Blackwood's position is indefensible. We've prepared termination papers for him." "What about Dr. Johnson?" one board member asked, nodding toward Maria. "We propose a settlement," Patricia said. "Full financial compensation for wrongful termination, medical expenses, and 5 years of lost wages. In return, Dr. Johnson signs a confidentiality agreement about the specific details of what happened." Maria straightened in her chair. "I'm not interested in being silenced." "It's standard practice," Patricia explained. "It protects the company from—" "The problem wasn't just Richard," Maria interrupted. "It was a culture that valued profits over people." "That has to change." Eleanor stepped forward. "Dr. Johnson is right. A quiet settlement won't save our reputation. We need to show real change." The board members looked surprised at Eleanor's support for Maria. "What do you propose?" Marcus asked Maria. Full transparency about what happened, Maria said firmly. A public commitment to ethical practices, and the restoration of the cancer research program that was terminated after my dismissal. While the adults debated downstairs, Lily sat in her bedroom surrounded by papers. She had spread her mother's research journals on one side and printouts of Maria's published scientific papers on the other. With careful concentration, she was drawing lines between related concepts, creating a map of connections. Daisy entered the room and flopped onto the bed. "What are you doing?" "Finding connections," Lily explained. "Mom's research built on Maria's ideas." "Look, this treatment approach Maria invented is the foundation for Mom's work on targeting cancer cells." Daisy picked up one of the journals. "I miss Mom." "Me too," Lily said softly. "But I think she would be happy that Maria is back in our lives." "Why didn't Dad know what happened to Maria?" Daisy asked. "He owns the company. Shouldn't he have known?" Downstairs, Marcus was asking himself the same question as the meeting continued. "We'll need to issue a formal statement," Patricia was saying. "Before we do that," Marcus interrupted, "I want to acknowledge my own failure here." All eyes turned to him. "I was so focused on expanding the company that I delegated too much to Richard. I didn't pay attention to what was happening inside my own business. People suffered because of that. Maria suffered." The room fell silent. Eleanor looked at her son with an expression that mixed surprise and reluctant respect. "The statement needs to acknowledge that," Marcus continued. "This isn't just about one bad executive. It's about creating a company where ethics matter as much as profits." Maria watched him with new respect. This was a different Marcus from the distracted businessman she'd first met in the rain. "Dr. Johnson," one of the board members said, "would you consider returning to Sterling Technologies? We need someone with your expertise to lead the renewed cancer research initiative." Before Maria could answer, the elevator chimed. The twins stepped into the living room, Lily carrying a folder of papers. "We think you should see this," Lily said, approaching the table. "It's about Mom and Maria's research." Marcus looked at his daughter with surprise. "Lily, we're in a meeting." "This is important," Lily insisted. She opened the folder and spread out several papers. "These are Mom's notes on Maria's cancer treatment approach. And these," she pointed to another set of documents, "are the results from early tests. They were working." The board members leaned forward with interest as Lily explained the connections she'd found between Sarah and Maria's research. Despite her age, she spoke with clarity and understanding that impressed everyone in the room. When she finished, Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. "Thank you, Lily. That was very helpful." The meeting resumed with new energy. By afternoon, a plan had been formed. Maria would be reinstated as head of research and development with full authority to restart her cancer treatment research. The company would establish a new ethics committee to oversee all operations, and most significantly, Marcus would announce the creation of the Sarah Sterling Foundation for Employee Advocacy. As lawyers drafted documents and board members made calls, Maria stepped onto the penthouse terrace for a moment of quiet. The city spread before her, so different from the view in her Brooklyn apartment. Marcus joined her a few minutes later. "The board has approved everything," he said. "They're preparing the paperwork now." Maria nodded. "It doesn't feel real yet." "I owe you an apology," Marcus said quietly. "Not just for what the company did to you, but for my part in it. I should have known what was happening." "Yes, you should have," Maria agreed. "Being busy isn't an excuse for ignoring how your employees are treated." Marcus accepted her rebuke without defense. "Sarah would have been disappointed in me. She always said a company is only as good as how it treats its lowest paid worker." "She believed that strongly," Maria confirmed. "It's why she loved teaching as much as research." They stood in silence for a moment before Marcus spoke again. "The settlement offer includes an apartment in our Upper West Side building if you want it. I know you might not want to be too close to—" "I'll take it," Maria said simply. "It will make it easier to visit the girls." Inside, the elevator chimed again. Gloria arrived with shopping bags. "I didn't know we had company," she said, surprised by the crowd. "Gloria," Marcus called. "Perfect timing. We're planning a press conference for tomorrow morning. The girls will need something professional to wear." "Press conference?" Gloria looked confused. "Maria is going to run the cancer research division at Sterling Technologies," Daisy explained excitedly. "Dad's making her the boss." Gloria smiled warmly at Maria. "It's about time someone recognized your value." Across town, at Sterling Technologies headquarters, security guards were escorting Richard Blackwood from his office. Employees watched in silence as he carried a box of personal belongings to the elevator. Outside the building, reporters had gathered, alerted by rumors of major changes at the company. "Mr. Blackwood, is it true you've been fired?" one shouted as Richard emerged. "No comment," Richard snapped, pushing past them to a waiting car. Back at the penthouse, final preparations for the press conference were underway. The legal team reviewed statements while the board members discussed financial implications. Eleanor supervised it all with sharp efficiency. During a quiet moment, Eleanor approached Maria. "I misjudged you," she admitted, her voice low. "I was protecting my son and the company." "I understand," Maria replied. "You didn't know me." Eleanor nodded stiffly. "Sarah would have approved of what's happening today. She always spoke highly of you, even though I didn't make the connection until recently." Maria was surprised by this admission. "Thank you for saying that." As evening fell, the apartment gradually emptied of lawyers and board members. The press conference was scheduled for 9 o'clock the next morning at Sterling Technologies headquarters. Maria prepared to leave, but the twins protested. "Stay for dinner," Lily insisted. "Please," Daisy added. "We want to tell you our ideas for the Sarah Sterling Foundation." Over dinner, the girls shared their thoughts with enthusiasm. Lily had already designed a logo that combined scientific symbols with a heart. Daisy suggested programs to help employees who got sick. Marcus watched them with a mixture of pride and amazement. "They've never been this engaged with the company before," he told Maria quietly. "They're Sarah's daughters," Maria replied. "They inherited her passion for helping people." After dinner, as Maria finally prepared to leave, Marcus walked her to the elevator. "Tomorrow is going to change everything," he said. "Are you ready?" Maria thought about how her life had transformed in just a few weeks, from a struggling woman in the rain to the future head of research at Sterling Technologies. "I'm ready," she said confidently. "It's time to finish what Sarah and I started." As the elevator doors closed, Marcus turned to find his daughters watching him. "Dad," Lily said seriously, "you did the right thing." "Mom would be proud," Daisy added. Marcus hugged them both, realizing that through all the pain and revelations, his family had somehow become stronger. Tomorrow would bring a new beginning for Sterling Technologies, but more importantly, it had already brought a new beginning for the Sterling family. 6 months passed like a dream for Maria Johnson. Spring sunlight now streamed through the windows of her office at Sterling Technologies, where framed diplomas and awards once again adorned her walls. On her desk sat a photograph of Sarah smiling in her lab coat, a gift from the twins to mark Maria's first day as Executive Director of Research and Development. "Dr. Johnson, your 2 o'clock is here," her assistant announced through the intercom. Maria looked up from the research reports she was reviewing. "Send them in, please." The door opened to reveal a team of scientists, eager to present their latest findings on the cancer treatment that had once been Maria's passion project. The treatment was now showing promising results in early clinical trials. "We've documented response in 70% of test cases," Dr. Wallace, the lead researcher, explained excitedly. "It's better than we hoped for at this stage." "Excellent work," Maria said, pride evident in her voice. Sarah would have been thrilled with these results. After the meeting, Maria checked her watch. She needed to leave early today. The Sterling family was hosting a garden party to celebrate the first anniversary of the Sarah Sterling Foundation for Employee Advocacy. In its first year, the foundation had already helped dozens of employees with medical needs and established new safety protocols that were becoming industry standards. As Maria gathered her things, she caught a glimpse of herself in the office window. Gone was the desperate woman Marcus and his daughters had found in the rain. Her hair was now styled in a professional cut, her clothes were elegant yet practical, and she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had reclaimed her rightful place in the world. The Sterling penthouse had been transformed for the celebration. Flowers filled every corner of the rooftop garden, and tables were arranged for the guests who would arrive later. Maria found Marcus in the kitchen, surprisingly wearing an apron over his dress shirt. "Are you actually cooking?" she asked, amused. Marcus looked up with a smile. "Trying to." The girls insisted we should make Sarah's favorite cookies ourselves rather than having them catered. He gestured to a tray of slightly misshapen chocolate chip cookies. "They don't look professional, but they taste good." "Where are the chefs of the house?" Maria asked. "Getting ready." "They've been planning their presentations for weeks," Marcus replied, removing his apron. "They want everything to be perfect." The twins had changed over these 6 months too. With Maria's guidance and their father's renewed presence in their lives, they had flourished. Lily's interest in science had deepened, while Daisy had discovered a talent for bringing people together, a skill she was putting to use in the foundation's outreach programs. "The guests will start arriving in an hour," Marcus said, checking his watch. "Gloria's family is coming early to help set up." Maria nodded. "I'll see if the girls need help." She found Lily in her room, carefully reviewing note cards for her presentation. Surrounding her were scientific diagrams and charts that would impress researchers twice her age. "How's it going?" Maria asked. Lily looked up, her serious face brightening. "I think I'm ready. Do you want to hear it?" "Absolutely," Maria said, sitting on the edge of the bed. "My project combines Mom's research with your innovations," Lily explained, showing Maria her main display board. "I tracked how the cellular targeting method you developed evolved through Mom's work and into the current trials." Maria studied the board with genuine admiration. "This is graduate-level analysis, Lily. It's impressive." Lily beamed at the praise. "I want to be a researcher like you and Mom someday." Next door, Daisy was putting final touches on something completely different, a large, beautifully decorated scrapbook. Unlike her sister's scientific approach, Daisy had created a visual story of connections. "It's a memory book," she explained when Maria entered. "It shows how people are connected even when they don't know it." The book began with photos of Sarah in college, then as a young researcher under Maria's guidance. It continued through Sarah's marriage to Marcus, the twins' birth, and Sarah's illness. The final pages showed newer photos, Maria with the twins, the press conference announcing the foundation, and the whole group at the opening of the Sarah Sterling Research Wing at New York Presbyterian Hospital. "This is beautiful, Daisy," Maria said softly, touched by the girl's thoughtfulness. "I wanted to show that even though Mom is gone, her story didn't end," Daisy explained. "It continued through you and us and the foundation." By 6 o'clock, the rooftop garden was filled with guests. Sterling Technologies employees mingled with hospital staff and foundation beneficiaries. Gloria's entire extended family had come, her daughter proudly telling everyone how she had lent Maria clothes when she had nothing. Eleanor Sterling, who had surprised everyone by becoming one of the foundation's most active supporters, was engaged in conversation with hospital administrators about expanding the research wing. "Marcus has finally done something truly worthwhile with his money," she told one doctor, loud enough for her son to hear. Marcus just smiled. His mother's sharp edges had softened slightly over the past months, particularly in her relationship with Maria, whom she now treated with grudging respect. Dr. James Chen arrived with exciting news. "The preliminary results from the clinical trials are even better than we reported," he announced to the gathering. The treatment is showing efficacy in cases we thought were hopeless. A journalist who had been invited to cover the event approached Maria for an interview. "Dr. Johnson, how does it feel to see your research finally reaching patients after all these years?" "It's not just my research," Maria corrected her gently. "It's the work of many brilliant people, including Sarah Sterling. I'm just grateful to continue what we started together." As evening approached, the twins presented their projects to enthusiastic applause. Lily confidently explained complex scientific concepts, while Daisy moved many guests to tears with her heartfelt memory book. After the presentations, Marcus called for everyone's attention. "I want to thank you all for coming today. 1 year ago, Sterling Technologies made a commitment to change, to put people before profits and ethics before expediency." He paused, looking around at the gathered faces. That change began because one person had the courage to speak truth to power, even when it cost her everything. He gestured toward Maria. Dr. Johnson could have sought revenge for the injustice she suffered. Instead, she sought justice for others. The foundation, the research, the new company policies, all of these exist because she reminded us of what truly matters. As darkness fell, guests began to drift toward the edge of the rooftop terrace, where they had a perfect view of the Sarah Sterling Research Wing at New York Presbyterian Hospital. The building's windows were illuminated against the darkening sky, a physical reminder of Sarah's legacy. Maria stood quietly at the railing, watching the lights. Marcus joined her, standing close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" she asked. "For giving my daughters back their joy. For reminding me what kind of company Sarah wanted us to build. For not giving up when it would have been easier to." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. "Sarah always said there are no coincidences," Marcus reflected. "Only connections we haven't recognized yet. I think she would say our meeting in the rain that day wasn't chance." Maria smiled. She was usually right about these things. The twins joined them at the railing, Daisy slipping her hand into Maria's while Lily stood beside her father. "Look," Lily pointed toward the hospital. "They just lit up the new pediatric research floor." The four of them watched as another section of the building illuminated, expanding the glow against the night sky. From this distance, the research wing looked like a beacon. "Mom would love seeing us all together like this," Daisy said. "Yes," Maria agreed, her voice soft with emotion. "I think she would." As other guests began saying goodbyes, the four of them remained at the railing, united by loss and hope, by past and future. Maria felt Daisy's small hand in hers and Marcus's presence beside her. The pain of the past 5 years hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed into something new, a foundation for healing. Marcus looked at Maria, his face open in a way it hadn't been when they first met. "Sarah always said that the most important discoveries happen when we're brave enough to start again." Maria nodded, understanding completely. In science and in life, moving forward required courage, especially after failure or loss. Looking at the Sterling family beside her and the research wing in the distance, Maria recognized that courage had finally been rewarded. The night wrapped around them, comfortable and full of promise. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, connected by Sarah's memory and their shared commitment to making the world better than they had found it. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.